Thanks Brilliant for sponsoring this video. After 2 years of being stuck at home, perhaps you're going back to the office now. At least that's what happened for me. And after completely changing routines, sleeping habits, expectations about my work, the boundaries between my personal life and work life, and overall having to completely readapt to a different way of doing work, I'm back in the same scenario I was in 2019 and early 2020. And my God, it's so difficult to readjust all over again. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of habits and the changes you can do and implement to make this transition a little bit better. And if you're already doing this transition, but you're still finding it so very hard, then this video is for you. The pandemic has brought several new ideas to the table. For instance, that idea of being personally on all the time and, available to answer calls and reply to emails is so physically and emotionally exhausting. However, it's that kind of thing that you only start noticing when you have a different scenario that gives you new insights and also allows you to shift your mindset a little bit. Hybrid roles, for instance, can be particularly challenging because they force you to develop different routines. Personally, and despite me wanting to do the same things every single day and have the same routines to help me stay grounded, it was really hard for me to admit to myself that all of my habits really had to change, considering that some days I was working from home and the other days I was commuting to my day office. So to adjust to a hybrid role, I developed my working from home routine and my day office routine. They are stable now and structured and simply change according to the place where I'm working. But for this to work, you really have to set your boundaries very, very early on. This is especially important for hybrid schedules because, especially if you work with a team, that team needs to know whether you are reliable. So they need to know whether your usual working habits, your usual workflow, and your usual schedule are the exact same ones every single day. In hybrid schedules, you're supposed to create boundaries that work seamlessly, whether you're working from home or not. So first of all, being rigid and disciplined regarding your working hours can be an important factor. Ensuring you are at your desk at the same time every day, whether you are at the office or at home, having the same lunch break and leaving at the same time when applicable will make your hybrid schedule more structured. At the same time, it's important to ensure you're not blurring your boundaries when it comes to space. While at the office you have clear set boundaries, at home it can be a bit more difficult to know what's the space for working and what is your home. So allow yourself to reset these boundaries now that you're back. Consider the following. Would it be beneficial for you to turn off email or your phone after a certain time? Should you schedule breaks for socializing and or recharging, whether it's in person or online? Is there any type of ritual you can implement into your routine to strictly distinguish your work life from your home life? And when you're working from home, can you make an extra effort to ensure you're not spending your lunchtime working or at your desk? Despite its benefits, the thing I enjoyed the less about working from home was the feel like my day completely lost its entire structure. When I returned to the office, building structure back into my day was the thing that helped me bounce back from that working from home type of miasma, like hopping on Zoom at the last minute while wearing pajama bottoms and holding a half-eaten piece of toast. So for this, you'll have to reawaken old habits. When reawakening old habits, it's almost impossible to get to the degree of efficiency you had before all of this happened. The ingrained routines you implemented for years are now basically gone, and you have to start from zero. And that's okay. So focus on 1 week per habit instead of trying to do all of them from day one. When you return to the office, it's very natural that a lot of the things that were deeply ingrained inside of you back in the day are now basically gone, and it's very difficult for you to re-implement them back into your routine. So creating a rigid structure in the beginning of this process can help you get back on track seamlessly. For instance, scheduling specific times during the day to check emails, archive projects, and make phone calls. Identifying the best time for deep work and administrative work according to your natural energy levels, and update your workspace to reflect the type of changes in your work over the past 2 years. Or maybe you adopted a paper-free workflow, transitioning to new devices, or simply want to make your work environment more comfortable, inviting, and homey. Either way, implementing some elements in your workspace that create some sort of connection with the way you work at home can go a long way. When you go back to the office, your morning routine basically becomes automatically more burdensome. And besides the commute that now represents, like for me, it represents a whole hour of my morning, you also have different considerations to take in as well. For instance, if you're working in an office job that has a formal setting, it's much harder for you to get to work now. Maybe you have to think about makeup and hair and what kind of outfit you're going to use for the day. Also, if you're spending a whole day at the office, maybe preparing your lunch or packing some snacks or your computer in a computer bag. Those are all things you have to think about and prepare before you leave the house. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, time spent commuting declined for an average of 1.2 hours to 47 minutes in 2020. And leisure time, on the other hand, increased by an average of 30 minutes per day. So it's pretty much understandable why all of us are having a hard time going back to the office. After all, we had so much more time to do things that we really loved, and now we have to spend that time commuting to work. And also, trying to wake up 1 or 2 hours earlier may not really be the solution because you may just simply become sleep deprived. So what can you do? Well, first of all, a lot of the tasks you enjoy doing in the morning will simply have to be done in the evening. There's no way to deny that. Your morning workouts will probably have to be turned into evening workouts or at least substantially shortened. Another strategy you can employ is prepping as much as possible the night before so you can really reduce decision fatigue in the morning. Picking your outfit, packing your bag and lunch, ensuring the house is as clean as possible before you go to bed, and even showering the night before can reduce the time you're spending getting ready in the morning drastically. Also, using your commuting time to have some guilt-free kind of leisure time is a good idea to make, the whole moment a little less awful. If you're doing something that is enjoyable, your mind will not be as set on the fact that you're going to spend the following 8 hours of your day in the office. So listening to music, podcasts, and audiobooks are all options you can explore whether you're using public transportation or driving to work. Also, there is a lot of anxiety associated with this return to the office. And many, if not all of the people around you, kind of share the same feeling of being out of place. Even those who are itching to return to their office will face unexpected challenges and a difficulty to readapt to. And a lot of people who you're reconnecting with now will have gone through a lot over the past 2 years, as everyone has been experiencing the pandemic differently. I really think that the pandemic has really highlighted this need we have naturally that states we should be trying to invest as much as possible on our mental health, as well as reaching out for support and reaching out for help, and also being the help and support of others. And while it's still very important for you to recognize your own triggers and your own preconditions, I think it's really important for us to be patient with each other now and be as supportive as we can. And if you want to still add a little bit of self-development into your morning routine before you go to work, I have a great suggestion for you. If you want to learn things slowly, improve your knowledge on the go, consolidate new skills, and above all, have a great learning experience at your own pace, I really recommend you check out Brilliant. Brilliant is an interactive learning platform that teaches about math, science, computer science, and many other subjects. The whole concept behind Brilliant is to allow you to be very hands-on, so you can learn a lot of new things without ever having to memorize things or read entire textbooks without ever putting what you learn into practice. And if you're like, oh, I'm really not that much into science or maths, you just wait, because Brilliant has more to it than it looks. For instance, you can learn more about making decisions, problem solving, resource trade-offs, how to organize information, and you need literally no previous knowledge for that. And that's the beauty of Brilliant. They introduce you to science concepts by showing you how it works in the world around you, so you never have to say again, oh, I'm terrible at math, or, well, I just can't understand how physics work. This shouldn't be a handicap for you because you just need the right resources and the right way of learning to start getting it. I particularly love, for instance, the cryptocurrency course because they take this idea that is so very abstract and so important nowadays, and they really show you how it all works, which is fundamental if you ever thought about investing, for instance. So if you want to dive into Brilliant, there's a 20% off discount if you click the link down below, and that also tells Brilliant that you came from my channel, which is great if you want to keep supporting this type of content. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys!